So we are recording ourselves, at least I am, and
Yeah,
that means that I can then do something with the picture, and
sure.
and you can tell me all about your excellent work. I mean, I'm a big fan of the ah.
Yeah.
You must get the panda in the right position.
Well, because he was sitting with one eye showing, and people are already speculating that this is some kind of a cabal symbol. So if I, on top of that, show him with one eye showing, imagine the types of speculation. So 1 second.
Well, folks, we're now actually in a state where we were going to have a one. Where are you putting it?
Because I don't, he's not fitting there. I can
No,
put
you
him somewhere
you,
else.
you just to take it would be nice.
Should I keep him?
Yeah, of course you should keep him.
Okay.
Spend a minute making sure that the one-eyed panda is okay.
Okay. There.
Now he's the left one-eyed panda.
There.
See,
Okay,
yeah.
so sorry, you were saying that you were a fan, are you? That was my question. Like, how much do you
Now,
know about me and our work?
I've seen some of the stuff, but
Okay.
what I'd like to do is, I mean, you put a heck of a lot of work into it.
Yes,
So
but I love it. Yeah.
the other thing I'd like to do is make sure we call each other the right name, and I
Yes.
pronounce yours properly. And you are
Gosia.
Gosia.
Yes.
Gosia.
Yes, it's a short name for Małgorzata from Polish. It's very long, so short is Gosia.
Mao. We'll keep it short.
Małgorzata. Małgorzata Gosia.
Gosia. So you're Polish, but you're in Finland. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Now, I have some very good friends in Norway, and I've said this probably too much, but one of my great fans, I idolized her, or I didn't idolize her, but she was a fantastic woman in the good old days of like 40 years ago. Rowney Lukenin Kilda, who was head of, she was, I think, a health minister. And she was going around the United States, she was going around the United States talking about mind control and all these sorts of things. I think the only other person who did anything like that was somebody going into Anthony J. Hilda. Anyway, the point is that she was a very forward-thinking, pioneering woman who was very spirited and courageous, and had a tremendous impact on things. And ultimately, she passed away at a very good age, but she was taken out. She suffered some horrendous things, and she was a strong lady. So I've great admiration for people on your side of the Baltic. And we got the ocean right.
Well,
We got
thank
the
you.
sea right. Okay, good. So I'm very impressed of what you're doing and the quality and the rest of it. So Gosia, that's enough about me from the Basis Project. I mean, I've been doing this since 1984 when we discovered that we were making aliens in British bases. But the point is that the making of aliens in British bases with the presence of greys and reptilians was the very start of what I was doing at the basis way back in 1994. So we're here where we are. So how have you got into this subject, and what is your background?
My background before I started this officially. Well, I was officially, yeah, I was born in Poland some time ago, and I've never really had a big interest in UFOs or extraterrestrials or anything like that until my mid-20s. Before I was Catholic, and I was sort of spiritual, but not too much into Catholicism. So I was looking for different avenues and different spiritualities, and only until I got into my mid-20s I started to be interested in the topic of extraterrestrials. And actually, fun fact here, I don't know if you've heard of them, but I actually began with the Raelians. Do you know the Raelians?
Yeah, I mean, that's people joke, but that is a type of religion or belief system. With
It is.
with the going up to prayer boxes and stuff, and putting
No,
energy.
no, no.
That,
That's a fairies society.
I thought they
That's
dealt
a
with the
fairy
aliens.
society, which they are quite cool. I started with the Raelians, that is a movement that is started by Rael, French guy, who supposedly had an encounter with the Elohim. Because when I was living in Australia there studying, I met a guy who then became my best friend, who was a Raelian. And he introduced me to that philosophy, to the teachings. He gave me the book and I started reading, and it was all about the extraterrestrial creators, the Elohim. And I was right away very interested. So even though I'm not, of course, with them anymore, I'm still very grateful to them for being those first door openers for me, because I learned a lot there from them. They are really a cool bunch,
So
very smart,
explain
intelligent people. Yeah.
what you did learn. What did you need to know, and what did you learn? What type of
I
things
didn't
were?
know anything about the extraterrestrials at that point. I was very open, like right away when he started, my friend, telling me about this story. It just clicked right away. Okay, extraterrestrials contacted someone called Rael in France. Fun. Okay, why not? I just didn't question much, and I started learning about the extraterrestrials and their ideas. However, as I kept studying with them and learning, there were certain things that I didn't agree with myself, because I very much always believed in our immortality and consciousness and the power of the mind and all that. And they are not necessarily, they were, I don't know now anymore, I guess the same. They were not so much into that, and into the consciousness, into the consciousness as something that endures beyond your life. Like, they believe in cloning, basically. In order for you to continue your existence, you need to clone yourself. That's the idea.
Did they do the first clone? Did they actually do that?
They did. I don't know exactly what they are doing, but I know they have some links with some cloning agencies. I think in Canada. I'm not sure. That was a long time. That was like 20 years ago that I was doing this with them. So
I
it
mean,
didn't click with me.
is the Raelian symbol a unity between the swastika and the
Yeah, they
six-sided?
call it an infinity star. So it's a swastika, but it's like adapted, and it's an infinity star, and that's their logo. And I kind of like jumped into it. I was very open. Before that I studied with Jehovah Witnesses, with the Mormons. I looked at different things. So of course I was very open. And anyway, and I didn't click with that because there was that deeper spiritual immortality, consciousness aspect missing in that. And then I discovered a serious society, and that's what you were talking about. The group that they believe there's this prayer boxes when they emit the energy and they release those energies. Anyway, I have a very high respect for them, because I actually learned much more from them than what I learned from
I mean,
the Raelians.
there is quite a lot on about that. I mean, that is dealing with earth energies, and they did
Yes.
appear at I think the first two conferences that we did. We did some conferences with Joanne Summerscales and the Amash project, 12 years ago, and
Okay.
they certainly spoke at a couple of those conferences and very respectful, and was able to
Yeah.
hear their point of view. So
Yeah.
this is bringing us along your path.
So that's where I started, and that was 20 years ago. And after that, I went on into other things. I started reading Dolores Cannon books and all kinds of different books on that topic. I was also interested in, even some occultism, esoteric teachings, Madame Blavatsky, and all that. So general
This
ideas.
is very
Yeah.
important, all that stuff. I think we can't afford to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We've got to see the whole picture here.
Yes, yes. So I was trying to get the bigger picture. This is something that I haven't actually spoken about in any interview, but for some reason, it came up to me now. I actually even wrote a book myself. I never said that. I actually have a book that I wrote like 13 years ago, and it's called, I don't even remember what it's called, because I don't do anything about it to promote it. It's called Odyssey, and an Odyssey of an Airhead. Okay, and it's based on my real diary of a Catholic girl who came out of Poland and started to study all these different spiritual movements. It's actually word by word, almost as I took it from my diaries, my real diaries. It's a real story
I think that's worth
of all
publishing. I
that.
mean, you should try to get that resurrected.
I don't know, but well, I never
Unless, of
ever
course,
said that.
you're such an airhead you've forgotten where it is and you've lost the
I
manuscript.
do. I actually wrote that just to have it out there because actually my boyfriend at the time, who I was speaking about all these different points and contemplations and metaphysical questions, he's like, you know what? He was like, stop telling me about all this. Put this down and write a book. You know, people might be interested. So I wrote that, and I never. You were the first person that I actually talk about this to. I never mentioned this in any interview before because my interviews and talks focus on my experience now with the TAYGETAN Pleiadians, and I never talked that far back in my past. But actually, yes. So I wrote that, and then it led me to deeper and deeper studies of exopolitical movement. That's where I started to get into the exopolitics and all the stuff that is going on there. I
So,
was
from
looking
your
very
perspective,
good. Yeah.
what is the exopolitics that you
Well,
would,
from
because there it's an evolved subject.
yeah,
It's started by please forgive me, Alfred Leberbont Weber in
yeah,
Canada, and of course Michael Salla continued it, and
yeah.
they have those two sort of sections. But what is your exopolitics?
The way I understand exopolitics is the relations between the human affairs and how they intertwine with the extraterrestrial affairs, how it all meshes together, and the relations, deeper relations between deeper layers of the cabal, of the secret societies, of the human levels, governments, and the extraterrestrials, because it's very connected. It's much more connected than people imagine. So that's for me that's for me exopolitics, but I don't know exactly how they meant it in their original term when they started the term.
Well, I have to say, when I first started basis, I mean, I've been in the UFO thing since I've been, knee high to a grasshopper, as they say. And the one thing that really clicked it for me when we were talking about the thing happening in this country in the underground bases, it wasn't whether there were aliens or anything. It wasn't the secret labs or any of that sort of thing. It was the degree of backstabbing and skullduggery and double, triple crossing, double crossing and things, which was going on in the background. And it's a complexity of the backdoor politics which
Yeah.
actually made the whole thing real. It wasn't
Yeah.
sugar plum fairyland.
And this extends, like I said, into very, very, very deeper layers, touching on the layers of the Federation itself, Galactic Federation. So,
Explain all that. Now, there's Galactic
well,
Federation, there's the
yeah.
Star Trek thing. Explain everything, and I'll just sit back.
Okay, let me just maybe backtrack a little bit to just continue with a thread of how I started this. When I started digging into exopolitics, I was interested in what Carrie Cassidy was doing very much. I was following the Project Camelot. I was a huge fan. I actually had the opportunity to interview Carrie Cassidy at the UFO Congress in Barcelona a few years ago, just when I was starting this contact, this communication, because before I started sharing the information that we receive from our conversations with the TAYGETAN Pleiadians, I started just as a hobby. I started a YouTube channel where I was just interviewing people, but it was very, very, very like a hobby. But I managed to interview quite a few people. Like I interviewed Paola Harris, I interviewed Michael Salla also at the conference at the in Barcelona. And I was just so overwhelmed because I was just a little, in my view, this little girl that is just still studying all these things and learning. And suddenly I opened this YouTube channel, and suddenly I fall into these people and I start interviewing them. So I was very happy about that. And then suddenly I actually got the privilege of starting to talk to someone even better, so to speak. Even though I don't want to hear, put hierarchies on who is better, who is not. But I am here referring to the
Well, I'll have
extraterrestrial
to interject
themselves.
there. There is
Yes.
certainly no politics, and certainly everybody in this subject gets on like a house on fire. Everybody's very close, good friends, and everything is just fine.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Now, when I started talking to the TAYGETAN Pleiadians, it was in 2017. And we have been almost in a daily communication with them. And the reason why they were talking to us was because they were finishing already, but they were still in the process of having this first contact program that started by the Federation, so to speak, in 2008, where a number of extraterrestrial people, because they are people, entered into the contact with the people on Earth, supposedly, because that's a shady subject here, to evaluate how open we are for the open contact with the extraterrestrials. And
Okay,
and
let's go back
yeah,
to
yeah,
exactly how this started. I mean, we've had first contact. We've got to have the
yeah.
Russians, we've got to be in the White House lawn here.
It was a bit of a
But that
naive.
didn't quite happen. Explain the detail of how that developed.
You mean the first program contact?
Yeah.
Well, it
How
was
how did you get a typed message on your phone or?
okay. No, so in 2008, more or less, I think 2008, 2009, Taygetans and other races, extraterrestrial people belonging to the Federation, started this so-called first contact program, where they were supposed to flood the social media and openly talk to people and say who they are. That was the idea. However, here, all of us have these kind of, suspicions that it was meant to fail from the beginning. The Federation gave this task, okay, the Galactic Federation, which is a real galactic organization in charge of Earth affairs, and not only, gave this task of contacting humans on Earth through the social media. And they were supposedly looking to answer the question whether the humans on Earth are open for open contact with the open extraterrestrials. However, why I say that this was a shady deal, because right from the start, the places where those extraterrestrial people went to look for the contact with the humans were social media, where it was Facebooks, Google Plus, G Plus, all these places where people are not really going to look for real deep intellectual conversations. So it was meant to fail from the start. So that's why we are believing that the Federation kind of sabotaged this program, gave these naive, idealistic, young extraterrestrial people this task of supposedly contacting people on Earth to evaluate their readiness. But we believe that it was meant to fail from the beginning, because it did fail, because the result and the conclusions were people are not ready for the contact. But how did you contact them in the first place? I mean, this was not for me, according to us, it was not a serious, project. They were encountered with disbelief, with ridicule, with, they're being offended, they were being insulted, because who is going to believe right away that what you say, oh yeah, I am a TAYGETAN Pleiadian, I am Antarian, who's going to believe you? It was very hard for them to get their message across. So most of the people did not believe them and dismissed them. And then the Federation decided, okay, humans are not ready for the contact. Any questions? Because I see
Well,
your face
the
brewing.
thing is that Facebook, all these social media things have got so many scams.
Exactly.
And would they not have done a wee bit of research as the trolling that people get and whatever?
That's why we don't believe that this project was meant to assess anything for real in the first place. Like I'm saying, there is shady things going on within the political levels of Earth affairs, and this continues up into the Federation levels. There are also shady things going on there. There are different conflicts, interests, agendas. So we believe there is some kind of a different agenda behind this supposed open first contact than what it was meant to assess.
Well, when you're
So anyway,
talking to social media, which is controlled by the CIA,
right.
or the NSA or the Pentagon or whatever, And ultimately, that's got backdoor stuff going to some very dark ET stuff in the background from a long time ago. There are. Have you seen the film or read the book Mirage Man?
No.
It's a film made here in the UK, and it was made by some of the key members who were also doing perception management analysis using crop circles. And the key to the book, forget the whole thing, but the key to the cover of the book, you're dealing with the word mirage, which is an illusion in hot weather. You think that there's trees or water there, but it then has a reflection of the mirage. Mm-hmm. So what do you think comes with that? But the key thing about that is it has a third reflection. So there's three sets of unfolding ideas there. So I think that you're spot on at what you're doing, insofar that the upfront approach may have been a failure or set to fail, but then the double reflection. What do you think about that? I mean, you're already talking about shady things and all that sort of stuff. What's your thoughts on that whole side of things?
What are you referring to as a double reflection? Let's specify. What are you referring as a double reflection? What's a double reflection there?
Well, a mirage is false. So a reflection of a mirage would be opposite to that false mirage. Mm-hmm. So it would maybe be real. But then we have the faint reflection of that. So you have an untruth which makes a truth with something other maybe untrue about it. That's what I got from that particular symbol on that book about that whole analysis. Essentially, they concluded that, was there a government cover-up? And they concluded that, well, there wasn't a government cover-up, but there is a government cover-up. So from your analysis of this contact, your experience, where do you see that working out? You're dealing with multiple layers here. So what about this whole thing you're talking about?
I'm trying deeply to understand exactly what you mean.
I'm deliberately not describing directly what I mean, because that's the whole point. A direct statement is not what they're doing. They're doing an indirect statement via a side window.
Well, exactly. So what I'm interpreting from what you're saying in relation to what I was saying about this whole first contact program is that there are double layers here to the purpose of that program. So
precisely. And also, forgive me, but when somebody's doing an awful lot of stuff here, if somebody's doing an awful lot of stuff over there, maybe they're doing something, behind here.
Well, exactly. And we actually made a video. We made videos about this. We made a lot of videos about the Federation and the operation of the Federation and how they operate. And also Zvaru, which I don't know if you know, Zvaru is a 15-year-old girl who is on Toleka ship, on the TAYGETAN ship. And she's actually writing her own videos from up there. So yes, except for apart from my own channel where I share the information, she's actually making direct videos herself, and her channel is called Zvaru Oficial. And one of her videos, this topic was mentioned, and it's entitled "Why Did the First Contact Program Fail?" And there she is accusing even the Federation of what you are saying, of throwing this young. Not very idealistic, because many of them are very idealistic, these young extraterrestrials. So they are coming from the faraway distant planets, and they are thrown under this propaganda as if there is something to liberate here humanity from. And they are coming here for the liberation of humanity, because some of these matrix ideas and some of these ideas go on in space. Yes, complicated subject. And like you are saying, under under the layer, under that layer, they have their own agendas going on and ideas for how they want to manage this planet. And what they want for this planet actually is to maintain the system as it is right now. They are not interested in actually liberating anything, the humans from anything. Long topic, why? Because they are interested in maintaining this supposed play field for the souls and for the extraterrestrial people, where they can continue and experience this life as it is, because it is the only planet under these very hard conditions where the souls can have these types of challenges. So that's why this whole first contact program, why did it even happen in the first place if the Federation itself has different agendas and plans for this realm in the first place?
Well, I think, bluntly, that was the easiest way to sell something to the wider public.
Yes. Well, exactly. They were selling same, but you know what? Let me tell you this. They are
So
not just
actually, it was an exactly correct strategy.
Depending on your interest and your point of how you want to proceed.
Yes.
But what they were selling is not what they were selling just for the humans. They were selling among themselves. There is propaganda going on even among extraterrestrial races, and there are a lot of disagreements about the Earth and about how the life here should proceed. So there is a lot of this is a very, very deep subject. The Federation levels go up to the Saturn level. That's where the real shady stuff is happening. And many extraterrestrials themselves are even deceived in this whole game of things. So the rabbit hole goes really deep.
The point is, that makes it more credible. Because of these complexities. And
we are not, that's one of the things that actually define us and them, is that we are not sugarcoating things, and we are not trying to, say that things are beautiful out there, like many people in the spiritual and New Age movement, is that, everything out there is in 5D is just beautiful and loving, and they are angelic beings, and there are no conflicts, and we are on this road to ascension where just everything will be solved for us and beautiful and easy. And we are explaining things in a more realistic and pragmatic way, where we say it's not that black and white. Yes, things are much easier on their planets, but there is still a lot of disagreements, a lot of conflicts, because the extraterrestrial people and the Federation consists of people. They are people. They are not other dimensional, beings that dwell in a realm beyond duality. They are still in the realm of duality, where there is black, there is white, there are opinions, there are ideas. So we are very realistic about this. Where would you like me to go on from this?
Because I think it's pretty clear from an analysis of the 1960s with LSD and the drugs, sex and rock and roll thing. Have you heard of I think it's a part of California, Coral Canyon? There was
rings the bell.
It's where they did a lot of some of the best. I think the Doors, the great 60s band, the Doors, did a lot of their music there. It's pretty well known that was run by the CIA, and they ran a psyop using the drugs and things like that on the whole hippie awakening movement. In fact, the whole
Yes.
Hey Man, spirituality, love and light, it's been a psyop.
Yes.
And subsequent social changes have been either led or manipulated by some kind of psychological operations, otherwise known as a psyop. So what you're describing is in the good old trusted way of politics, of using psyops to see what's happening at this and that, see what the results are.
Yep.
I mean, that's in many respects what was going on with the crop circles, where you had the real stuff, and then the fake real stuff, and the fake real stuff. And then you had scientists who would create a crop circle. They'd look at it and they'd get very important, and they'd study it and do this and that. And then they'd study, but they were making a crop circle, and something happened to them to give them an extra hour to finish the crop circle. So this is Dr. Simeon Hein. He talked about this quite some time ago. So they're making a fake crop circle, telling everyone it's going to be a fake crop circle. This is science here. Sorry. This is goddamn science here. He doesn't speak like that. But the point was it was an intellectual scientific experiment. Man-made, planned, studied, and executed, but they didn't have enough time to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Yet something gave them the time to finish it. So that's several infolding things there. So even when we're going to make sure we're in control, only to find they weren't in control.
Yes, the things around the Earth matrix and this whole system are set up in a very layered way, and there are a lot of layers of the onion here. And just yesterday I was talking to Zvaru, and she was actually talking about the cabal and how it's made up of several layers, and when the one layer is compromised, then they make sure there's another layer underneath. Now this continues and continues. Psyops are everywhere, just like you were saying, and you have to be aware of that. And they especially abound in the New Age and spiritual movements. UFO movements, exopolitics movements. Hey, and if you're going to ask, how do I know that I am not one of them? Well, I know that we are not. But you have to make that.
Yeah, but you would say that anyway.
I would say that always, because I know. But I don't want to impose this on you, on anybody, as some sort of authority statement. You need to investigate what we have to say, the information presented. By the way, I didn't have an opportunity to actually explain that part of that first contact program was that at the end, in 2017, that's where I started to talk to them, and me and Robert, who is doing this in the Spanish channel, we got in communication with them, and we started to share our conversations. So in my channel, Cosmic Agency, you can actually see the results. I mean, you can see the conversations shared that I have with them. And this is not channeled. This is very important to say. This is how we communicate word by word, by writing, chat. So I know. Hey, Bongo, don't. Sorry, it's my dog. My dog disrupting.
Is the dog there?
There's a dog there.
No,
yes.
The dog wants to bring the dog in.
Yeah, there's
now,
a dog.
This is an interesting theme.
Yes, it is.
The animals, I've noticed, want to impose themselves onto these things. They want to be part of this.
Yeah, she always wants to be part of everything. She's very, very needy in that sense.
Of course she is.
Yeah,
rightly so.
Rightly so. Yes,
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
so cute. So
we've
anyway,
had pussycats. Yep. We've had pussycats come in.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who was abducted, he went through a there. Oh, wants a kid. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she thinks it's a toy. Okay.
No, that's fine. When he was abducted, the ETs, or we think that may have been the Fae in Ireland, they talked to his puppy. He talked to his little poodle terrier. In other words, one of those little fluffy dogs. If you put your hand anywhere near it, you lose your arm right up to the elbow.
Okay.
The arm socket. But it's interesting the way this is actually happening. That the animal kingdom is coming in on these conversations. I'm deliberately mentioning this because I don't think it's by mistake that the animals are coming. Does that mean that the panda's being chewed to death?
Yeah, it is. I actually noticed that she comes in a very interesting moments as well. Like, for example, in one of the interviews, someone asked me, so what are your final words of wisdom? And she comes into the picture. So I actually I created some of the words of wisdom based on that moment, on her. I tried to like tune into her. Maybe she had something to say, maybe she wanted to share her words of wisdom. So you never know. Yeah.
This is the point. When I was interviewing my friend who had been taken by these guys 4 times, your dog's starving. The point was that once we started talking about the abduction, and this is, I don't want to go into the details of the case, but the point is that once we started talking about it, the dog was sort of quietly sleeping away in the shop. Once we started talking about that, it picked up on it and it started barking like hell. So it knew what we were saying. And that's a whole thing about animal communication as opposed to alien communication. They understand. and
Yeah.
that's a whole different subject.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they understand a lot of things, and they are able to perceive a lot of the entities from the astral and what's going on there.
yes,
Another story, yeah.
but that's a whole thing, and that's very important. Now, the
Yes.
thing is, we've got. Don't you realize how deep we've got into this in the first half hour? Don't you see
I'm
how this
unable. Yeah. Yeah.
the complexity of the whole thing has brought us into a huge area, all sorts of communication.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
that is the communication. That's the contact. So how do you give us some examples? You've mentioned your other channels,
Yes.
and but let's get into some of the examples of what you're talking about. Explain
Uh-huh.
this whole thing. But this is amazing.
Well, we have started talking, like I said, in 2017, and in the beginning, it was just private conversations. They were not interested in sharing anything. We never talked about that really in the very beginning. It was just private chats, and right away from the beginning, I just knew that this was real, and they were who they were saying they were.
Why?
Because I think
What
it
made it?
has to do.
What intuition gave you
Well,
that?
first of all, it was because we were introduced by someone who was quite knowledgeable and very respected person, and we believed this through because she believed it. And then we started talking, and of course I had a question. One of the first questions I had for them was like, how do I know you are not some kind of a fat guy sitting in the basement and writing to me? And of course, this was a very, very boring question to them, because for years they have been answering this question, which of course is understandable. But the short answer she gave me in that first chat, I remember, Zvaru, is that I don't know. And I will only know if I give her a chance to communicate with her more and listen to what she has to say. And then that's it. So I continue talking to her. And I think also the fact that I believed it right away is because I think it's some sort of agreement that I have with them on a deeper spiritual level, because as they explained to me, I am actually a TAYGETAN Pleiadian in the immersion. Do you know immersion programs?
I may know it, but tell people what it is anyway.
The
Whatever you
immersion
say,
program,
explain it.
the immersion program, this is very important to understand for people, because this is how most star seeds, fresh extraterrestrial people coming from wherever, this is how they incarnate on Earth. So they have the technology where they can put themselves in this cryo sleep in the immersion chamber, is what we call it, and they can actually divert their consciousness signal, because that's what we are a signal within the ether, and divert that soul signal to the previously chosen avatar on Earth, previously chosen person on Earth. And this is how we can explain walk-in experiences. The people who walk in to the human experience, they can come in straight from the source, simply being souls, or they can come using technology. And this is immersion technology. And this is how most ET people actually come into Earth. Yes, because this way
Something like Avatar.
yeah, something like that. Yes. So they explained to me that actually I am a Tibetan Pleiadian woman who is right now in the immersion chamber sleeping, and I came here specifically for this task. That's why as soon as I met them, it was just instant. I knew, because I believe that in that deeper subconscious level, I still have a memory of pre-programming this experience for myself. That's why I just knew, and I have no doubts, and I have no reason to explain how exactly. For the people that are not in my situation, which I understand, you just have to look at the information itself, see what they have to say, and see how it, that word that I don't like to use anymore, how it resonates with you.
Hey,
And
copacetic here.
well, it's so overly used, that word, because you can, anyway, but it's true. It's in the end, that's what it is. You guide yourself by what you feel, listening to this information, reading this information, and see it can teach you anything. And I can assure you that among our 500 almost videos that I have on my channel, plus like 100 videos that Mari Zvaru produced, and Zael of Erra, and TAYGETAN Man, who also started making the videos, You can learn a lot there. Your mind will be expanded in unbelievable ways. There is information on each possible topic, and that's it. And decide from there if you believe it's real or not, because in the end, it has to be your decision and your responsibility. They don't want to impose anything, no proof of any kind, like we expect proof to be, will be given at this point. The information in itself will speak for itself and will speak to you or will not speak to you. So take it or leave it. They are just offering, they are not trying to impose anything. So again, I stop here because these monologues that I do could go on for a long time.
Well, we've done 40 minutes. Do you want to do another 20 explaining 500? What sort of things, in order for people to go to your channels, could you sort of explain, roughly this one does that and the disease?
Go to Cosmic Agency on YouTube, and you can start from the very beginning, our videos in 2017, but you can also look at playlists where I have the videos divided by spirituality, metaphysics, technology. They explain exactly a lot of aspects of their starship technology. If you want to know how the UFO crop circles are made, for example, you were mentioning crop circles, they explain exactly how their beam technology works, tractor beam technology, how they are made, their purpose, how their starships operate. Right now, actually, I'm working on an amazing video where I'll be explaining the fighter jets technology, the fighter crafts, some of their fighter crafts, starships. So just yesterday, I had a detailed talk with one of them about the technology. And what was amazing was that I have a Telegram group, and in that very same time as I was talking to one of them, Athena Zvaru, I opened the questions to the people in the Telegram group, and I said, guys, I'm talking to Athena Zvaru about the TAYGETAN fighter craft. Ask questions right now. And I was passing some of these questions to her. So she was responding in the same time as I was collecting the questions. So this will be included in one of my future videos about that. But we have so much more. We talk about ancient history, current affairs, very much so. We expose.
Okay, what about ancient history? What about stuff there that
we have
what sort of ancient history? Tell us.
Well, we talk about Nazca Lines. We talk about Atlantida and Lemuria and all that. We talk about how actually history is false. We actually talk about the manipulations happening in history, how the order of historical facts is not exactly as it is presented.
Well, they say that the history of the good guy is always written by the victor. But I mean, the biggest thing as far as the Nazca thing is concerned, it's always explained this is the plain of Nazca. No, it's not. It's the top of a mountain. It's completely cut off. It's way up. And that was something which Eric von Daniken was very annoyed at, that the whole where it is was never properly explained on any of these TV programs.
Well, I have the video on that, on Nazca Lines, and you can read more about this. It's not a very long video, but it's explained how they are actually stellar maps. They're actually stellar maps, and each one of these pictures, the images, it represents a constellation, because it was an interstellar port for many extraterrestrial races, and they had bases underground. There are still remains of those bases under those Nazca Lines, where they had their so-called tower controls, which are not really like what we imagine, but they were underground in subterranean bases, and they were operating. It's like traffic, and many of these images are actually that. They are stellar maps. They are pointing to different constellations, and it's the same thing with pictures in caves all over the world. They are actually pointing to stellar constellations, portals, etc. We explain portal technology. We explain time travel technology, how it actually works. It's just
okay. Tell us about portals and tell us about time.
Choose one.
Portals.
Yeah. Well, there are natural portals and there are so-called artificial portals, and they're explaining how each one of them works. And they are explaining, well, you see, that's how, That's why I like to prepare sometimes for the interviews, because I forget some of this information.
Okay,
And
well,
yeah,
just this is sort of an introduction.
yeah, it's a very general
It's a wonderful
introduction.
introduction. You're fantastic.
Yes, they're explaining how everything in nature is based on mathematical interactions and numerical values and frequencies. So they're explaining how in the natural portal, you see, I'm not very good with those subjects when it comes to science. They're explaining how when the frequency of the destination matches that of the origin in that specific time and space, that's where the portal gets created. And now, sorry, my TAYGETAN friends, if I messed up this explanation, but it's something like that. But it's explained in detail in my video about natural portals. They're also explaining artificial portals. They are going into CERN. They explain what's going on there in CERN exactly.
Now that's a big can of worms there.
Yes,
They're
but
not
we have
telling
a
us
lot of.
what they're saying they're doing.
Well, they are actually one of the reasons why they have CERN for, and they're trying to build this huge artificial portal, is because they are trying to actually move and transport some of their crew and equipment to other planets, because that's how they have you heard of jump rooms?
Yes, yes.
That's what they are. They are the way the regressive and races and the cabal moves and transfers to other planets is through portals. Since
Yes.
they are incapable of just going with their space technology as they have at the current state, but they do use portals, and they told us they are pain in the bum for the Federation, because it's very hard to control those portals. They don't know exactly how many of them the cabal has and how. But one of the tasks that the Federation is involved in is trying to monitor all these portals, because they are trying to supervise who is coming in and who is leaving the Earth.
Well, this is one of the key things of megaliths and these stone structures, that they're portal technology.
Oh, yes, but yes, exactly. However, some of them are also natural portals. They are not operational anymore.
That's what they tell us.
Well, that's what they tell us, yes, but they are telling us that some of them are not used simply at this point, as far as they know. So we talk about that.
Well, there was a case of one of my cases was a former special services soldier way back in the 1950s. They recovered crystal type technology, which corrected the misalignment with the existing drifts in the 3D world with portals, and it would fix the error. But that was old, ancient technology. Maybe not that long ago, but it was maybe several thousand years as opposed to hundreds of thousands. But that matches what you're talking about.
Okay, that's very interesting. I haven't heard of that. Yes, I wouldn't know how to comment on this. The science stuff is not really my expertise. I am more actually into like metaphysical subjects. I'm able to explain those more, and for some reason my brain doesn't retain all the scientific facts.
Oh
but
God.
Well, thank you for being understanding.
I think you're doing absolutely fantastic. It's amazing. You're so amazingly connected. So what about the rest of your team and everything else?
But that's the thing. Listen, I talk to them every day, and if you could talk to them and compare what I'm saying to what they're saying, you would understand where I'm coming from. What they're revealing and telling, and the details and the lucidity of their minds, the memory of and the details and thoroughness of each of these subjects I'm going into, then you would understand why I feel this way. Well, you don't need to know that much until I get into the interview, like with you, and you ask me a specific question about the portals, and then I realize, oh, I did need to know that. So I do feel a bit, I am hard on myself, but it's because I would love so much to explain all this in my interviews and in the talks with people, and I'm just incapable.
Oh, he's taking it again. I'm gonna give.
So you have to go to the Cosmic Agency channel and see it for yourself.
Okay, right. That's exactly it. So we're explaining the channels. What are these channels? What's their exact name? So I can put them up on screen. Just imagine that there's a list there, and if you want to explain what these channels are and where they can be found, and
So
all the rest of it.
Cosmic Agency is my main English channel where you will find all the videos. You also have, yeah, COSMIC, Cosmic Agency. And then also on Odyssey.com, I also have censored videos because on YouTube, not everything is there, especially the videos related to the situation that happened in the last 2 years.
Yes.
That we don't have anything.
Mention it.
No. And I don't have anything about that. I won't.
But this is, I mean, I've been deplatformed over that. A lot of people have. So where do they find those channels?
On Odyssey.com, Cosmic Agency on Odyssey, I have a whole playlist of the videos in that topic. And there's like 30 videos where we actually present exact analysis of the situation. So go there. Also on our website, Zvaru.org, you will see all the transcripts. So you don't have to actually watch the videos because there's so much, you can read it. And there is a word search and you can look, for example, Stargate technology, whatever. And then the transcript will come up.
Now I'm going to say something. How the heck have you managed to do all that work? Have you got
little by little.
But
and we have help.
I'm interested because we tried to do this for bases and there were certain video edit softwares which claimed they could do that, but the error rate was so high that it still takes, you still have to just listen and do it the old-fashioned way.
No, it's true. And we had different ways of searching the transcripts. Not only that, I have help. I have my boyfriend and his brother is a programmer. So he designed the website. So thanks to him. And then I have in Spanish, Agencia Cósmica, that's in Spanish, which I do the same in Spanish, everything double. And then in Spanish, we also have Robert, who is doing this. I will send you the links later. He's doing this in Spanish also, Despejando Enigmas. And you have to go to Zvaru Oficial, which is official direct channel made by one of them, Mari Zvaru, and Zael of Erra. The channel is called Zael. TAYGETAN Man is making videos directly from there as well. Not as frequently as Mari. I would suggest to look at Mari as a primary source of information because she's very thorough and her videos come out every day, one Spanish, one English. So direct information coming from the extraterrestrial herself, Mari Zvaru. Amazing stuff. You will learn a lot, I promise. And that's all I can do. Just invite you to have a look at this.
That is absolutely fantastic. And could you explain the symbol behind you?
Is
that a flag or is it? Is this something you've made or what?
No, this is my boyfriend Matthias, who he was Finnish, and he likes Spartan stuff. This is a Spartan logo. Supposedly, yeah.
Well, they certainly knew how to fight the Spartans. Is this? Are you talking about the Greek Spartan?
Yeah, I suppose so. He is into the Spartan. We have different motifs of Spartans in the apartment, not just this. We even have a bathroom rug with the same logo. So that's his.
But that's a unique fighting style. It's very well. It's used for training people in super soldiers and all that sort of stuff. It's a legendary fighting technique. But this is. I'm really, really happy to have been able to make contact. It's a hot day here. I've just come back from La Gomera in the Canaries, and I got bumped off a flight, so a football team can go and play a game of football. Jesus. But this is amazing. Any final one thing that is the deal, what got you in here and you feel that you've accomplished?
I have accomplished passing a lot of empowering information to the people in the last 5-6 years, and we have touched upon many people's lives because they are telling us how their perspective changed and how it helped them. So This is for me the most important thing. If it helps expand people's minds and liberate their minds, because in the end, that's what we are doing this for, to liberate people's minds, to make them question and to make them see that there is more to their reality than what they are told. So that's been accomplished and it's in the process still, and I hope it will continue for some time still.
And your energy and smile and enthusiasm says it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you to you for your invitation, and hello to all your viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is too good. So tell us about the dog.
The dog is 1 year and a half. Her name is Bongo. She's a beagle, and she's very playful, needs a lot of attention, and hey, Bongi. And yeah, so she's now letting me know that she's bored and she wants to play.
And I think rightly so. There's been far too much attention given to other things, and you should take her out and have a good time.
Yes, we do try to do that, Ash. This is what we tell people to do as well, to be happy and have a good time despite of anything that's going on outside in their world.
Good. Okay, that's the
Okay.
sensible bit over. Bye for now. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.